This somehow got crazier as the Minnesota Wild have finalized their NHL roster and lines today, with quotes coming out about Liam Ohgren and Danila Yurov. They have both made this roster, and the roles for them are not as simple as it may seem. We're going to be breaking that down, as well as going over the fallout of the Connor McDavid contract extension, as many people are calling out Bill Guerin and the Minnesota Wild for jumping on this too early. And I'm going to explain why this is completely false here at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around for that. But before we do jump into this video, if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Minnesota Wild, and as the season is only days away, we're getting videos out every single day, keeping you updated with this entire Minnesota Wild team. You won't want to miss it. We're going to have it all right here, but we need to jump straight into this video because, I mean, heading into today, having this roster finalized seemed all good and perfect, but after McDavid signed his contract, many things were going out. But we need to start off with the players now on this side of the Wild, coming out and having the lines just about finalized. And Michael Russo tweeted this out a little while ago, coming out and really showing what we now think the lines are. And we have a few movements that will be made here. We're going to jump into those here in a moment. But as we know, the first line there, Kaprizov, Rossi, Boldy, as I mentioned, has not changed, will not change. That is it. Eriksson Ek has not necessarily been demoted, but has found a better home on the second line there with Vladimir Tarasenko, who still remains on the second line. But Marcus Foligno has jumped up to the second line at this moment, and from what we've been hearing from John Hynes and Bill Guerin is that they're going to be trying him in quite a few different places and really going to be taking it day by day with Yurov and Ohgren as to where those guys do end up here as we get closer and closer to the start of the season, but also a few games into the beginning of the season, as nothing yet seems to be finalized. And I feel like right now, as the Minnesota Wild are currently in this kind of youth influx of players coming in, they're going to have a lot of options that will come out really game by game at this point. So you're taking a look, Yakov, Trenin there, Hartman and Johansson on that third line, and Yurov, Sturm, Ohgren, and Hynes on the fourth line with, of course, depending on whether or not Hynes comes in, there is still that extra forward there. But as of right now, it seems like Ohgren and Yurov will be sticking on that fourth line for the time being. Defense stays the same as we've been seeing it, of course, except David Jiricek and Zach Bogosian have swapped sides. Damon Hunt is that seventh defenseman, with Brodin being there injured right now for the time being. And going into that as well, there is a little update we have on Jonas Brodin, and Michael Russo tweeted this out this afternoon. Brodin continues to be in a no-contact jersey since last Sunday's practice, where he took contact. So good news, he keeps dating, but obviously means he will not be ready to start. Now, one thing to clarify, as Michael Russo says here, this is not a no-contact jersey. It's a reminder jersey to not destroy Brodin. So it looks good. He still is taking a little bit of contact, but no heavy hitting. But this is something that, once again, will be day by day. We've been seeing a little bit of whether it be they missed the first game of the season, the first couple games. I don't think the Wild are really looking to rush back Jonas Brodin because the defense right now, and as we look at it, is pretty solid. It's locked up good like we want it. And, of course, when Brodin gets in, it's only going to be a bonus. And likely Bogosian will come out, leaving Damon Hunt as an option there with Bogosian. And whether or not they send one of them down or put him on waivers will still be yet to be determined. And there's still lots of time until we do see that happen. But the Wild seem to be content with their defense right now, so we can kind of take that and as it is, and, no need for Brodin to rush back as soon as possible. Now, John Hynes has also spoken out about Jonas Brodin, the plan is, and what he's kind of been going through, what he's dealing with, and what the Wild are dealing with as we go day by day with Jonas Brodin still hurt. He had this to say: I don't know if Brodin's going to be available for the first game or even first couple of games, but he is tracking ahead of schedule versus thinking he'd be back by the end of October. He's in all live drills, D-zone coverage, and anything that has battle. We just have him in that yellow jersey, so guys know not to drill him through the boards. There's still contact, but it's not totally live because we don't want to have a setback. So, as I mentioned, the Wild, where we are ahead of schedule, are still taking it lightly. They don't want to push Brodin into anything just yet. So whether it be that first game, the first couple, still a much better result than being in a month's time when his original timeline was. So whenever he does come back, over the next couple of games or the next, first 5 games, whatever it may be, they still will be ahead of schedule. So we know they're not going to rush him in this case at all. So positive signs coming there. But as we go to the rest of the roster, there has been some quotes from John Hynes, and he's had quite a bit to say about these players. Now, he had this to say about Hynes, who had a strong camp. He didn't get as much action later in the games, but he does have the experience. We know what he can do. I think with Ohgren and Yurov, we're still working on those guys. And and now that camp's over, we'll see what they look like in different positions. Ohgren and Yurov, someone's still going to have to take a step to solidify themselves where they are going to play. So from what John Hynes is saying here and what it really sounds like is, when we're looking at these two right now, there is a lot of time that they will have on this roster, but it'll depend on where they want to play and where their actual first few games will solidify them. And as I mentioned, I think this kind of lineup right now is still a little bit liquid. I still think that there's a lot of moving parts here. Whether or not Foligno will stick on the second line, still yet to be determined. I think you might want someone with a little bit more skill or a little bit quicker with Eriksson Ek and Tarasenko, whether that be maybe Yurov, maybe, Ohgren, whether it is one of those two, whether it's someone else. I think there's still a lot of options. We've also seen Marcus Johansson there. So there still is a lot of possibilities for this Wild team, but going into it, they have to still make it. It almost seems like they didn't want to kind of send those guys down when they didn't see everything they wanted to in preseason. They did enough to make the NHL roster. Will they stick? Still something to be determined, but I think that now, the way these two guys have played, especially through preseason and training camp, that they're only going to be getting better and better by games, and that's what they've said. That's what they've spoken out and said, and Danila Yurov said that exact thing. He said, my adaptation, is going to continue. I understand if things are on the ice and in the locker room, my game isn't top level, but I learn every day. I'm getting better every day. Every practice, it's another step for me. I'm getting better every day. So Yurov is taking this day by day, step by step, and has been absolutely doing fantastic with that, especially when it does come down to everything we've seen thus far from him from the beginning of training camp to the last game of preseason. He's looked phenomenal. And at this point right now, I still think it is just a matter of time and finding that right line. And that may not be something we see for the first game. That might not be something we see 10 games in. But they're going to be moving around, as John Hynes said, seeing where he can find himself. And then you have to go and work to get to that position and stay in that position. So this is still, I think, for the first couple of games, going to be almost still a tryout for these guys, even though they know right now is going to be more important than what the last few games have been. I think they're ready for it. And now it's just a matter of time until we see and they see where they're capable of going. Now, Liam Ohgren also did speak out today and had the same kind of a concept on this idea. He said, I came in with a lot of confidence. Obviously, I wanted to make the team. I think I started off good, and then when the games got started, I felt, I don't know, I don't want to say pressure, but I want to be up here so bad. I want to play here full time. So I don't know. I had a lot of chances, but just couldn't score. So that was in my head. And that was the one thing that I really noticed, and I think a lot of people really noticed about Liam Ohgren, is that the goal scoring was just not there for him early on, or really throughout this training camp, and it really hasn't been on his favor in the NHL either through his 13 games. However, we know that that's only a matter of time until he gets there, because he's been translating that to the AHL to a T. He's been absolutely fantastic in the AHL, and it really is a matter of time until he does crack into the rhythm that we're looking for in the NHL, and the same thing goes. Whether or not it is going to be this stint, maybe another stint, once they find that line, he's going to be rolling, and once those nerves are gone, he will be a fantastic player. He just needs to get the monkey off his back, start potting in the NHL, and then he will be good to go. So I'm liking the mindset that the Wild have for these two guys. I like the mindset these two guys are in. Hopefully that we get Liam Ohgren to get those nerves down, get the confidence up, because we all believe him. We all know Liam Ohgren is a guy that just needs to get that one opportunity, and then he will be good. So I hope we see that early. Hopefully that will be an all good thing for the Wild to start the season. Hopefully it starts in Game 1 on Thursday, and then we go from there. But that's all I got for that part. But I want to know right now, this is a big thing coming up, about Kirill Kaprizov. As we currently stand, McDavid signed his contract today. We see a 2 by $12.5 million deal. Now, this is a generational heist, but by the Edmonton Oilers here. Connor McDavid could have asked for 20. He would have gotten 20. But as you see Chris Johnson here saying, the Oilers captain extended the runway to make a big promise to bring the Stanley Cup to Edmonton, leaves a pile of money on the table to do it. And the Oilers and Stan Bowman came out and said that is what McDavid asked for. And a lot of people were jumping on this immediately, disregarding the contract that he got and putting this all on the Wild, saying, whoa, why did the Wild give him $17.5 million? And I'm here to say this, because I have a completely different mindset than a lot of people on this. When the Wild did give this to Kirill Kaprizov, these two teams are in a completely different situation. And I'll explain what I mean by this, so stick around. And, feel free in the comments below. If you disagree with me, let me know. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this. But hear me out first, because I think that my idea can gain some traction. But when we take a look at this is the Wild's cap space over the next couple of years. You see right now they're at 3.6. Next year, with everybody locked up, including Kaprizov, they still have $16.3 million. That will sign just about anybody in the NHL. We know the Wild are kind of projected as well to go out and get another big name. We've seen Bill Guerin come out to Kirill Kaprizov and say, hey, we're not done. We're going to be buying here for your tenure. And that goes to show that the Wild are now really starting to get into this rhythm once again after kind of, once I mentioned, getting that influx of younger players coming in. They're still going out to get these guys, if it be an Artemi Panarin, who at 34 years old, still is a bit an older guy, projected a $10 million contract. To gain more traction on this team, they have the cap space to do it. When you go and take a look at the 9 players under 24 on this team, let's not forget, Boldy's on this list, Faber's on this list, Rossi's on this list, Boyum's on this list, David Jiricek, Jesper Wallstedt. These are guys who've been in the NHL for years at this point for the most part and are getting to become a regular in this team. This team has got so much younger, and when you take a look right now at the top contracts in the NHL, Kirill Kaprizov owns that by about $3.5 million more than anybody else. But you're getting him for 8 years to become the leader on this team and stay the leader on this team to help this younger team continue and open the window even longer for a Stanley Cup run. We know that right now, 8 years is a long time. 9 years, I guess, because this year counts as well on a still $9 million contract. He's going to continue to get players into this team, into this lineup, and have a bunch of younger players come in and continue to be a younger team. When you look at the Edmonton Oilers, they're a team right now who are on the older side. They have a lot of older guys. McDavid is giving this team 2 years left to get a Stanley Cup with his tenure. If they don't get it, you never know what's going to happen with him now. He may leave. He may go elsewhere. He don't think the Oilers have it. But at this point right now, he's giving them 2 more years to do what they can, giving them the money to go out and be able to spend to get more and more players. But right now, this team doesn't seem to be doing it. The Oilers don't seem to be doing it. But when you look at the Wild and compare that to what they have in contract projections, $16 million. Once again, that's going to be a Panarin and someone else. You go to the year after, $43 million. The year after that, $62 million. The cap is going to be rising increasingly over the next couple of years, and the Wild don't have to sign anybody to any big contracts. They have everybody big lined up. I think the only probably biggest one that we would see next is Boyum. And still, at this point right now, so early in his tenure, we don't really know what that could be, but they're going to have plenty of money to be able to do it. So, given the contract scenarios of the teams, given the age of the teams, and given everything else going along with this, the Wild are in a much better situation for a longer period of time than what Kirill Kaprizov's giving them compared to what McDavid is giving the Oilers over these next 2 years with the amount of money he's available to give them. So, I think the Wild are given a much better opportunity here, giving a longer window, a much longer window, in fact, and have a lot of money still left to do it. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below, because I think this is something that I found very clear-cut that a lot of people were saying, hey, why would they do this? It makes a lot of sense because Kirill Kaprizov, as McDavid is really the Kickstarter of that team. He is ground zero. He is the guy that you run off to get to a playoffs team, a playoff spot. And Kirill Kaprizov is going to be that for the next 9 years for the Minnesota Wild, continuing on to what he already has. So I want to know what you guys think about that in the comments below here. But that is all I have in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.